Here we go. It is markets in the morning. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Welcome to Markets in the Morning. Today is Wednesday, September 24th, 2025. Happy fall, everybody. This is Markets in the Morning, where we take a look at the price action of the cryptocurrency market, including the Bitcoin price chart, along with the altcoin market. We take a look over there at the United States stock market, which is set to open up in about 30 minutes from right now, along with precious metals like gold, and take a look over there at any type of financial news or any type of crypto news to kick off this fine, beautiful Wednesday. As always, we try to keep it light, tight, and bright here on Markets in the Morning. It's I run through stuff and go through the charts like a serious person should, but then we kind of act like goofballs for the rest of the time, and we try to keep it kind of fun as a halfway point of the week. So happy Wednesday, everybody! Halfway to the weekend.
It is Wednesday, my dudes. It is Wednesday, my dudes. It is Wednesday, my dudes.
Oh, yeah. Well, hello, everybody. Good morning. Thank you all so much for tuning in to Markets in the Morning. We've made it. Let's see. Oh, I beat it just in time. You guys almost got hit by a major ding. We are actually going to be having a YouTube video today on top of Markets in the Morning. Super rare event. That was the video finishing export, but I turned off audio before it beeped at you guys. So I'll try to get that out within 30 minutes to an hour of the Markets in the Morning being complete. I kind of got all this stuff kind of prepared way ahead of time, which is super rare. I was like pretty much ready 2 hours before we went live, so I figured I'll make a video out of it too. Not everybody loves Markets in the Morning because it's filled with these things, and gaps and everything. And I'm rambling way too much to start it off. Let me address the first things really quick. Chiftane Blackbeard gifted 50 memberships, and he does that like every time, man. Thank you so much for the supporting the channel. And Edward Lang gifted 100, man. I'm so grateful for you guys. Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate you guys do that every single week. Thank you. Let's, without further ado, let's dive into the charts for people who are watching and for people who are watching the replay. We're halfway through the week. Of course, we're coming off of Sundays. In the middle of the night, there was that big liquidation that happened over here in the cryptocurrency market where it was like $1.6 billion. I didn't have enough time to look through all of it and figure out what the historical biggest liquidation we ever have seen is, but that's gotta be near the top of one of the biggest liquidations we've seen in the market. Prices have still held steady since then. We've held on top of those levels after that has happened. When I put together the video on Monday, of course, just kind of talking about those particular levels and where we are at. So as we kick off this week, there's really we kick off the halfway point of the week, there's really just one main topic to obviously talk about right in here. And it feels like such a pivotal moment in the market of where we're at. That's why I felt that I wanted to put out a YouTube video to go with it, because of just the things that we'll talk about here in Markets in the Morning. It's such a cliche term to say, and I know I have said it many times in the past, and you hear it so often, make or break moment in markets. And I have spent too much time in the last week just beating my head against a wall, thinking to myself, wow, this is just an absolute make or break moment happening in the market. And it's so hard to sit here and make a YouTube video and be extremely convicted on what's going to happen here in the next day, in the next couple of days, in the next week with crypto, when everything is so super dependent on what's going to happen here in this exact moment that we're in right now with our macro market situation. And so for these last few days, of course, we've seen this Russell 2000 just teeter around up in here. And so I'll just kind of zoom in on this and kind of just paint the perspective of where we are right now. I've got a couple of lines here on the chart. As you can see, this is the previous all-time high from 2021 at 2,463.6. right? Then we have the highest daily candle close there at 2438.3. Those numbers aren't as relevant. I think the only thing I really care about is this 2463.6. But either way, that's your highest daily candle close from 2021. That's the previous all-time high. Then you shift over here to 2024, and we have a couple new markers to look at. This is still our highest daily candle close dating back to 2021. You can see we kind of poke at it right in here, and then we do eclipse it over here, right? We set ourselves with a new highest daily candle close, but still unable to close above the 2021 all-time high. We set this new wick here on November 25th, and just barely go above it, but unable to close above it. So we have like multiple points in here, right? This is our highest daily close from 2021. This is our 2021 all-time high. This now becomes our new all-time high, and this now becomes our new highest daily candle close, all in here, right? And so you scoot forward to where we are right now. And right now we are sitting here hovering between what is the new all-time high from 2024 and the highest daily candle close from history, and the 2021 all-time high, just teetering back and forth in here right now, with the market not being decisive of which way it's going to end up going. Yesterday, it set a new all-time high, but then pulled all the way back down, not only below the previous all-time high, but then below the 2021 all-time high as well. But these candles still continue to close here between what was the previous highest daily candle close and the previous all-time high. And we just bounce around, bounce around, bounce around, bounce around in here. And as we sit here, it's just this game of which way are we going to go, right? Like it's going to dictate what happens with this market because of everything we've seen and how this market goes. And the more we tease around in here, the more I just sit back, gosh, what's going to happen, right? If you go this way, what's going to happen to the market? We're going to rip and roar. It's right. Like that's just the historical precedent that has been set by the entire market. If this thing pulls back in here, what's going to happen to the crypto market? It's going to pull back too. So it's, and it just continues to make an indecisive. It continues to be indecisive as it sits right in here right now, putting upper shadow wicks and lower shadow wicks and consolidating the closes in here before making an ultimate decision. And we know that just going back through history, in the end, for the Russell 2000, it's the most significant resistance that's ever been presented on the chart. And whether or not it's going to escape from it right here, I don't have the answer. And that's the difficult part, that if I had something that I was like, yeah, man, like, look, oh, this, and this, for sure, we're definitely going to bust out of here. Or no, it's actually going to pull back really aggressive. And that's real hard coming onto the channel too, because, you know, everybody has their own particular risk tolerance on how you want to treat this level, right? Because I could come on here and say, yeah, it's definitely going to bust out of here. And then if it pulls back, that's going to suck really bad, because we're probably going to see some pretty big fat red candles happen throughout the cryptocurrency market. But if I say, hey, you know, it's probably going to pull back here, you know, and then it busts out, you know, then people will be like, we got it wrong. It's really hard. It's really hard with where we are at right now to know if it's going to get out through here. But I think that the problem with that, of knowing whether it's going to get out from here right now too, is there's consequences of either direction. If it goes to the upside, the consequences are there's probably going to be big fat green candles that come in the cryptocurrency market at the same time. And if it goes to the downside, there's going to be big fat red candles that happen in the cryptocurrency market at the same time. And the market's not giving a clear picture on which one's going to end up happening here in the short term, of which one's going to occur. What I can paint for you is the significance of the level. Like, it's very, very obvious where we are at is massively significant. And I've tried to paint that picture for you from the big perspective of why it is so significant. But as it sits here and it upper shadow wicks and it lower shadow wicks and it just teases between them all, you can build the bullish argument, and you could keep saying, well, it's bullish because it keeps holding on top of all of the daily candle closes. And that's totally true. But then you could say, well, it keeps trying to wick above the previous high, but it's unable to close there and maintain it there. And it's like, yeah, well, that's true too. And it's having a hard time really having a real sincere close above the previous 2021 all-time high. Today's only Wednesday, right? We have until Friday. I would think that if by Friday it closed like right there, if it just went to like 2,500 and closed the week there, like we would get daily candle closes above everything, we get weekly candle closes above everything, and that's probably good enough, and we're ready to rock. But as we sit here today, there's a lot of uncertainty and unknown of how that will end up manifesting itself. There's ways that we can look at this thing, right? And so I talk about this in the video that I just recorded, that you could really present both sides. And that's the problem with it, that when we sit right here, I can like present two the completely different arguments. And that's what frustrates me, because I don't have like 30 different things all saying only one thing. I mean, like obviously if the Russell busts out, it pretty much does it for everything to say everything is good, like all gravy. But like, so for example, Binance coin, this is one that we've talked about for a very long time. And I talk about it in the YouTube video that I've recorded, but every time that I make a thumbnail for my YouTube videos, you probably notice the color schemes are all pretty similar, right? The text is usually pretty similar. It's going to end up being the green text or the white text, or there's going to be like the yellow and the orange text, right? Pretty much those are the three colors that I always kind of stick with, because I have like a thumbnail blueprint that I always go back to and I use every single time that I make a thumbnail. I don't put a lot of fresh new effort into thumbnail creation or anything like that. I use kind of the same thing every single time. But I always go back to a very particular one that I had, that it was actually from the Binance chart. And it was when we were down in here, and it was talking about Wyckoff accumulation in here. And if you recall, everybody was super bearish on Binance coin, calling it the next to FTX, and that it was going to collapse. Well, the irony, right? It's the only true major alt that's actually in a bull run. But that statement is true, that like you have Binance coin in an actual bull run, right? And we've referenced to these charts and these price behaviors that have happened in here. Let me bump that up. This is from a different thing I was doing. Okay. So you guys can see. I know you guys complained that text on the side is too small. I apologize. Not really. You've told me that for years. But that this is all the same type of price behavior that happens in here, followed by capitulation, then followed by Wyckoff accumulation. And then finally, right, it goes back up to the highs and it tries to buck the highs a couple of times and then finally escapes. And so where are we at right now with Binance coin, right? You're up here at the first Fibonacci extension. It's acting like being in a true bull market. So you look to that and you say, okay, well, like there's a clear signal coming in here that there's a bull market happening in the crypto market, whether it's widespread or not, there is a bull market that's happening in here. Then you go over and you look at Ethereum, right? We've presented this, right? Let me take this stuff off here really quick, and then we'll come back to it. Right, very clear. Crash, retrace, reaccumulation. Look at the levels that it comes down to. Crash, retrace. Look at the levels that it comes back down to. Then back to the highs, right? And back to the highs. And then what do we end up having happen at precisely the exact same time? Well, the equity markets are acting in that manner too, right? So where are we at now? Well, you have the Russell 2000 pushing back up against the highs. You have pretty much the exact same macro scenario happening over here on things like Ethereum in the crypto market of like they were happening in 2021. It's just taken a lot longer. And it's why everybody's like, this cycle sucks, right? Like 4-year block reward halving, like this cycle sucks. And I've argued that it's not the block reward halving that has anything to do with the cryptocurrency market doing anything. It has always been tied to these equity markets, and that these equity markets have been acting very different from how they've acted in 2013, 2017, and 2021. And so everybody who's just said, I'm just going to, it happens the exact same way every time. Well, there were a lot of signs early on in 2023 and in 2024 that things were acting very differently when it came to breadth dynamics of macro markets. And that has still continued all the way until right now. But is there going to be this big change that happens here right now? Well, you would look at Binance coin, right? And you would look at Ethereum and you would argue, well, it seems like that's going to be coming, right? But then at the same time, you have the complicated picture of Bitcoin, right? So like I started this by saying, like, I wish you had everything pointing in the exact same direction, but you kind of don't. You have kind of like a mixed picture happening in here. So like then you look at Bitcoin and you say, well, that picture isn't super clear, right? That one isn't giving like that exact same dynamic that Ethereum is, or like Binance coin is, or like the Russell 2000 is. And then you're left with a complicated picture of the XRP price chart in here, right? On whether or not this is behaving like an ABC, like we saw with gold, or whether or not this is acting more along the lines of things like what we saw with Cardano, right? Where it rallied really high, stalled out after setting that new high, and then it ended up breaking down from there, right? And I don't think we have that answer currently right now. And the structure that we have on XRP doesn't like leave me excited, right? Like, and I talked about that before we got there, that if we went back to like $2.80, it would really open up the door for something like this to be happening. And when you create a structure like this, it still also really opens up that door that something like that could still be coming. And like an example of that, like just to wrap your head around this, like, and think about this, like when did we have the rate cut, right? Was that here or was that here? It was Wednesday, right? Wednesday the 17th. So that's where our little rate cut comes in. But like, think about just the events that transpired in here, right? I'll take that off just so we could see that, how perfect that was. When you hit that 702 Fibonacci retracement, right, the crowd's excited, right? Because what do we get? We get the official filing from the SEC that they're dropping their appeal, right? And Ripple, right? That's like the official we're done moment, right? And it happens right at the 702 Fibonacci retracement. Then you go on and you do another 702 Fibonacci retracement of that range right there, right? And then you pull back down to the lows, right? And then you just kind of look at the actual structure that's happening in here and this price behavior that's happening in here. And have you ever seen that before? And it's like, dang it, man, I've seen that multiple times. I've seen that multiple times. You actually even saw it here. You saw it here on the bigger time frame, right? Like, take this. Make it real small. I can figure out how to do this. Here we go. Okay, that's a pretty good guess, right? Pretty good guess. There you go. All right. It's really all that same type of behavior in here, right? Like even for this last little rally in here, coming off of, right, this behavior to capitulate, right? This behavior right here to capitulate, bouncing, and then here we are. We've slammed these lows now. So like your little price action in here doesn't look favorable, right? But here's the problem, right? The problem of just going based off this solely, right, is that is likely not going to matter if this ends up busting out in here, right? Because we've saw it happen back in 2024. If the breadth of the market opens and if this thing goes busting out of here, then that's not going to matter, right? But then if this pulls back from being here at this all-time high, then that whole destiny is going to be manifested, right? Of what we see from the structural behavior happening here for XRP on that particular exact type of price behavior, right? So you don't have like everything. So like what I'm trying to get at here is like we're stuck in this really unique scenario, right? Where we know up above us is Glory Town. We know everything is absolutely epic based on historical behavior of markets, right? If the breadth opens in the Russell 2000 and that thing busts out and goes flying, that's historically where the altcoin market goes flying. And guess what? It's historically when XRP goes flying. And I've argued that, and I've said your secrets upon secrets, your fantasies, your stories, your partnerships, all your everything, none of that has ever moved the price of XRP in any way outside of market conditions moving the price of XRP. And that main market condition is having to see either an expansionary move happening or topping behavior happening in markets. And we saw that exact same behavior happen back in November of last year. And when I said XRP, it is time you may send, why would I type that? I typed it because the Russell 2000 was ripping, right? The crypto market was proving evidence that it was following along with that rip of the Russell 2000. So guess what? By default, who's not going to get left behind in that environment? XRP, right? That wasn't, and then you have everybody like, oh, here's the reason why, the blah 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 of everything, just can keep the charade going. But the reality is, it's this, right? And so if this thing busts out, then none of those structures on XRP, I don't think any of them actually end up mattering. I think it would all just be, if that gets out, you're good to go. But if this does fall, then it just means that, hey, that that destiny is being manifested over in there for the price chart. And so it's a real walking. I feel like Jerome Powell, right? Like walking a really tight, threading a needle on the words coming out of my mouth. That it's really difficult right here, that you're at the biggest resistance level known to this chart. Above, it has significant meaning, right? The breadth is wide open. The market is ripping. It's a broad-based rally, and that's really good for the cryptocurrency market. Faltering from here will likely have consequences in the crypto market. And I don't have enough to sit here and tell me, yeah, it's definitely going to do one or the other, or that even the beginnings of some type of trend have emerged in here to say which way, one way or the other, because we keep bouncing around between all of them. We're still maintaining all the daily candle closes on top of the highest historical daily close in history, but we just keep bouncing around in here, and it's not giving us a story. If this goes that way, guess what? XRP is probably going that way too. Bitcoin, Ethereum, everything, it's going to go that way. Go that way, rocket ships inbound galore, XRP, it is time you may send. Right? You have all of those different things right there. And so we're just kind of stuck right here. And I don't have the kahunas to definitively say, I definitely think it's going that way, or that I have the kahunas to say, I definitely think it's going that way. I just don't really know right now. I'm very neutral of where I'm at, but I understand the significance of where we're at. This is the defining moment. This is the biggest moment. The cliche make or break. It's everything right here, right now. And very, very, very. I talk about this in the video, like, right, like when markets pull back and stuff, right, like when we fall. Like, I get it. It does not feel good. I understand that when these things happen, and the people in the market are screaming, rabble, 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 blah, 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 blah. They're looking at their portfolio. They're angry. They're mad. They see what has happened to their portfolio, and they're pissed, and they're saying it's never going to go back up, right? Like, those times don't necessarily make me nervous, right? They don't feel good. Like, don't get me wrong. It doesn't feel good to see that stuff, but that's not where I get like nervous or concerned or worried. It's in moments like this when you are up and you're at these major resistance levels, and when you're sitting there and just bucking against it, and the time keeps ticking, and it feels like time is drawn out. Like, if you're running a marathon and you're in the last couple miles of a marathon, or if you're going on vacation for work and you know that your vacation's like in 4 days, but you're totally checked out, but you got to show up to work every single day, and you're totally not there, but you're just sitting there and time is going by incredibly slow. But at least in that circumstance, you know when your vacation is. Like, this one, we don't know, but it just feels like we're sitting here and time is ticking slow and slow and slow, waiting for a definitive answer to come from this. And it's just whether or not it's going to have to pull back from it to go, or if we're going to get the full-blown breakout right now. And I don't really know right now, especially when you sit here between all these things and you keep waddling between them all, but you still continue to maintain all the daily closes on top. So obviously a big fallback, we're going to see crypto fall. A big bust out, we're going to see crypto bust out. It's make or break. It's just where it is. Huge moment in the market. Giant, right? You have lots of bullish things that you can rely on and say, no, this market looks absolutely epic and fantastic, right? We're just acting just like totally like this is the first leg, and then the really euphoric third wave's coming in here, and that's where things will bust out and it'll get really nutty. You could argue that on Ethereum too, right? And those are two big majors, and that would transpire to the rest of the cryptocurrency market. And then Russell goes with it, and it's totally big. But then you have your complicated picture of Bitcoin, you have a complicated picture of XRP, And then you have really just that indecisive moment being there of the Russell 2000. And to signify how big of a thing this is, right? This 2021 high, it's 2,463.6. Right now, as I'm talking to you live, it's 2,462.4. 1 point away. 1 point away. It just needs a definitive bust out of here. But we're having to do this particular live stream in this particular moment in time on Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time while it's right there. And Lord help us, get out, please. But that's just kind of the shoes that we're in right now as we wait for it to get going. Right? Still, these things could totally just hold in here, but it's gonna be dictated by that guy. This guy busts out of here. I don't care what the crypto like seriously. This guy could bust out right here, and then the altcoin market or like the crypto market could fall. And it wouldn't matter. I would have such strong conviction. I'd be like, I don't care if it fell. I don't care if it looks like support's broke. I don't care. I would be so convicted that we're going to be fine and that it's like a fake out, shake out, that it wouldn't even matter. But this has to do it first. So that's where we're at. That's where we're at. All right. And then gold. Chill out, bro. You know what I'm saying? Chill out. Why? I just have the strong feeling it's going to be these two things at the same time. Whack down, Russell out, same time, same event. All right. As for rate cuts, the market still prices in 94% probability that we will end up seeing a rate cut come October 29th. We won't be live streaming that one. Guys, we are done with Fed live streams. And it was, do you call it romantic or a train wreck of the last one that we had where the stream was not working? Either way, that was a good enough sign as any from me that was good enough to be the last one, even though we announced it way before. Because if that ever happened again, like if we kept doing these live streams and that happened again where their feed broke and I'm just playing the audio again, it would just be like, what are we even doing here? Why are we even doing this? So either way, we won't be live streaming this one, but it is anticipated that there will be another cut come, when did I say that was? October 29th, right? You can look over there at yields. Yields haven't priced that in too much yet. 6-month yield, 3-month yield, 4-month yield have, but the ones that typically will price it in have not yet. And so that would be like your 2-month yield and your 1-month yield. Those ones have really just kind of stayed steady there at that 4%. But they have not priced it in yet. That actually is going to end up coming. And we've seen that before where the market really prices it in. But if these yields don't move off their spots, then nothing really happens. So right now we're still stuck here. We're still right at 4%, which is where we were when the cut happened. And you would want to see some type of movement likely coming from this yield to corroborate what the market prices in. Market prices in 94%. 2-month yield has not priced that in yet. So we'll see. All right, moving on over to news. NFL wants to accelerate TV rights renegotiations to as early as next year. Commissioner Goodell says S&P 500 futures bounce slightly as Nvidia shares rebound. Jimmy Kimmel returns after ABC suspension. Never my intention to make light of. Okay. Moving over to Cointelegraph for crypto news. Vitalik calls for open source infrastructure in health, finance, and governance. Bitcoin wills offload 147,000 Bitcoin in 1 month. Is 100,000 Bitcoin price next? Question mark. Okay, so I'm going to bet now that we've gotten the fear Bitcoin. So I don't ever read these headlines before we get in here. I always do them live with you guys just so you get kind of my real reaction of it because like we all know news is dumb to me. But I'm going to bet we're going to see that $150,000 Bitcoin price next, right? You got to first hit them with the fear because this is news, and then you got to hit them with the greed. So you got to hit both sides. So I don't see it on this page, but my bet is it's going to be on the next page. Again, you can never prove it. And then I'm going to look like a dingus if it's not. It doesn't look like it is. Why did I even do that? Okay. Oh, yeah, there it is. The next one. Okay. Bitcoin whales offload 147,000 Bitcoin in 1 month. Is $100,000 Bitcoin price next? XRP ETF pump disappointment. Bitcoin to see out 2025 at $173,000. So there you go. You got them both. Yes. You could say, yeah, you just read that. I didn't. I swear. Are TGEs becoming the end of blockchains? Blockchain networks will stop crypto deep fake scams. Yeah, okay, sure. Top 10 fastest growing blockchains of the year ranked by active users. That might be interesting. I'll read it to you. Let me take it off screen because I don't ever like to pull these up because I don't know what ads they're going to have on them. Who are they? Rank them. Number 1, Solana. Yeah. Near Protocol. Again, did we read this last week? Who is using Near? BNB, I believe it. Base, I believe it. Tron, I believe it. Bitcoin, I believe it. Aptos, I don't know. How can Ethereum be number 8? Call baloney on that. Polygon, number 9, which is yes. Arbitrum 1, I can believe that too. I can believe Arbitrum, Polygon, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Tron, Base, BNB. I don't believe Near. And I'm not sure about Aptos. Because we actually went through some of this stuff in the newsletter on this past one. Is XRP price going to crash after falling below $3 again? Question mark. Democrats signal support for bipartisan solution to make structure bill. E-Trade to add Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana in Morgan Stanley's crypto expansion. CZ denies report linking YZ Labs to external investors. Okay. All right. There you have it. There's your news for the day. We all wait. Okay. Here we go. Now we're at 2465.1 with the stock market open. Are we all going to make it? Are we all going to make it? All right. Dow Jones up 141 with the stock market being open. The Russell up 7 points at 2466. The S&P up 8 points at 6665. The Nasdaq up 8 points. And all eyes are obviously on this guy for the foreseeable future to see that we get a true expansion in breadth opening happening throughout macro markets. The all-time high sits right here at 2463.6, and we just kind of keep waffling back and forth between them all. Yesterday we set a new all-time high. Whether or not we're going to get it and define it, and of course, the most important thing would not just be getting it, say, today or getting it tomorrow, but it would be obviously getting it on Friday and then closing the week out there, because then we get everything. We get all the glory. We get all the good stuff. And then, not only that, but the additional thing on that, of course, would be getting it next Tuesday. So next Tuesday will be September 30th. And that will be the end of the month, but it won't just be the end of the month. It'll be the end of the quarter. So right now we're really looking for a defining breakout on daily, and then for it to confirm on weekly, monthly, and quarterly. So anything closing up here, and that if we close at like 2,500 come next Tuesday, a lot of candles just broke into new all-time high, daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly. So we're all at the mercy of waiting for that to transpire and then translate into the cryptocurrency market like it historically does. So there you have it. All right. We're going to hop into the chat here, guys, and then we'll wrap it all up. And I have a video recorded and exported. Let me do this. Save time, right? Doing something off screen. I'm uploading my video to YouTube. All right. There you go. That'll save some time. We'll be processing and all that good stuff. So when we finish the live stream, I can try to get it live as quickly as possible. All right. Again, guys, before the stream even started, Chief Tame Blackbeard had gifted 50 memberships. So of course, that's very kind and very generous of support for the channel, support my work. But at the same time, it also gives you guys a couple of added features in there. So if you got your name flipped to green, incredibly generous by by him. And then Edward Lang does the same thing. These guys are incredible. Edward Lang then comes in and gives 100. Very, 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 very generous. Thank you, guys. Your friendly NP said, outside of crypto, I found wisdom in your words that it has made an impact on my life. The serenity prayer and law of diminishing returns continue to stand out. Thanks, BCB. Yeah, the law of diminishing returns on happiness. Yep. If you have a house and you have a car and you have people that you love, you have food to eat and water to drink, not a whole lot of money is going to make you much happier than that. You can get a nicer house, nicer car, eat fancier food, and drink bottled sparkling water, but your happiness level isn't actually going to increase that much, because if you have a really crappy car, are you a lot happier than the guy who has no car? The guy who has to ride a bike or walk? If you have nobody to love, is the person who has somebody to love and loves them more happy? Yeah. If you have water to drink, are you happier than the person with no water? Once you put that into perspective, it's a lot less. I'd say financially, the biggest thing that brings happiness is getting out of the pile of debt. Once you can get out of the debt, that's it. Then they all just become numbers. And all you're doing is like squirreling away money. But thank you, your friendly NP. I appreciate it, brother. All right. Oh, 2 years, brother. That's his 24-month as a member. I don't remember seeing your name pop up. Have you just been lurking for 2 years? I feel like a jerk. You're like, no, I'm in here all the time. And now you've been a member for 2 years and you're just seeing me? My bad, bro. All right, currency theory. In a stream a few weeks ago, I think he said something like, you don't think this bubble will pop. This bubble pop will be like 1929 because you think we have the backstop in place. Is that something you can expand on, please? Thanks for all that you do. My thoughts are, it's not to say it won't be as bad, but I just don't think it would happen as rapidly. It was just a early market in the 1920s, right? In the 1930s, I think it would be something that would be much more slow. It doesn't mean you couldn't see a 60, 70% crash in stocks, but it would be something that would be really drawn out. Like with gold. Gold went through like a 20-year bear market before it found its lows, right? It fell from the 1980 peak, and then it just ranged for 20 years, and then finally it capitulated, and then it started a bull market from there. I could imagine it being something more like that. Rather than like in the where it was like a negative 93% fall in the Dow Jones Industrial Average over the course of 3 years. I just really doubt it will be that aggressive. That's all. I think it would be more slow, drawn out. I think what most people will want is to say, make it happen really quick. I'm going to get sidelined and I just want to jam all my cash back into the U.S. markets, but it may be having to look in other places. Zerp Twerp member for 19 months, but thank you, Currency Theories. I appreciate it. It's generous. Thank you. Zerp Twerp member for 19 months. Thank you, brother. 20,000 XRP could be life changing in a few years. Vincent Wilson, 2018. Yeah. Yep. That's back in the day where XRP is like, I think he was still doing that on my videos when we were at like 17.5 cents, 22.5 cents. And that's where people were like, oh, Vincent Wilson. Yeah. This S coin, we're never going to make it. We're never going up. Vincent Wilson, anonymous legend that is just long gone. And somebody could create a Vincent Wilson account now and just start doing that on all videos, but no one would ever believe it's really him. Pew pew. Trump giving Bitcoin speech today could be catalyst. I just don't think it's going to be a catalyst pertaining to crypto markets. See, there we go. Russell back to 24.63. It's going to have to be something major market wise for anything sustainable, right? Because we see that all the time. We see little news things can give little blips and stuff like that, but they're not enough if there's not a true expansion happening in broader markets. That's what we really need. Mod Barber, hey BCB, do you think it's alarming that the Russell 2000 broke previous all-time high twice and couldn't sustain the breakout? Like barely set an all-time high, then collapse maybe quite. So I think we've already covered this. So this was this super chat was 35 minutes ago. I think we've gone through that, all the complexities of that. So rewatch this, and of course watch the video that I'm putting out. You have all these different things. I'm sure I have answered your question because we're still maintaining all of the daily candle close highs. And we're still just bouncing around in here. You don't have an answer, right? The bulls could argue we broke it into new daily candle close highs and have sustained them this whole time. Nothing has happened, right? That is the highest daily candle close from 2021 is back over here, right? The highest daily candle close from 2024 is right here. Look where we've been waddling around throughout all of here. You've gone below, you've gone above, you've just been indecisive. And I think I've kind of answered it in both ways. It's a very difficult moment. It's high intensity. Like everything is on the line here. New Wave Consulting, thank you very much. Says cheeky fear before all the greed. No sweat, brother. Yeah, and again, that's like your biggest. That is your biggest fundamental. Fundamental. I don't know. The fundamentals of the fact that the crowd is so despondent, that it's like the behavior is like a true disbelief rally, right? Let me go. Where's the anatomy of a bubble? Anatomy of a bubble. Disbelief. I don't know. I can't find it right now, but it's the classic fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me, fool me 3 times, it's not going to happen, and then it does something different, right? Where are we? Total 2, right? Fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me, fool me 3 times, not happening this time, right? And then it gets out. It's when I go through every metric that I have of what the crowd was like and what their behavior is like on the back end data with engagement statistics and everything like that. The crowd behavior here is the exact same as down here and is down here and is down here. And I think I saw somebody type it in the chat maybe 30 minutes before the stream started saying that this feels as bad as 2019. And I've had private conversations with other people just in text where they're just like, I don't see why the crowd would come in here. I don't know why they'd be in here. And it's not, if you're feeling that way, it's not anything in particular about you. It's just, this is the psychology of what a market does to you. And so that is the fundamental bull thing. And I'm glad you brought that up. You say, right, cheeky fear before all the greed. No sweat, brother. That is a very, very, very interesting dynamic of it, that it would be vastly different. Like you would lean way more bearish being here if the crowd was euphoric, right? If the crowd was utterly nuts and insane, you would be I know I would come on here and be very concerned. Like if I saw it in my own data where like my own data, like we were ramping up, right? Viewership's ramping up, engagement is ramping up, right? Website views are ramping up. And it's like, oh boy, we're acting very similar to what keeps happening at each one of these peaks where the crowd gets real ramped up when we get here. I would communicate that to you. Instead, I'm kind of like sounding the alarm saying, why is the crowd not acting like that here? Why are they totally in the gutter? Why are they totally like we're in a bear when we're back at the all-time highs? And typically for them to turn on and for them to become ramped up, you have to get out, right? And if you get out, they become completely crazy. So it's an interesting dynamic. It's very different from what has happened in each previous rally of crowd getting excited, right? Oh boy. BTW listening. Are you listening? Here we go. Brian Parrott. What kind of shoes do frogs wear? Open-toed. There you go. Yeah, she's laughing. Brutal. Thank you, Brian. All right. Jur. Member for 1 month. Thank you very much, man. Tony Wynn, welcome. Tony Wynn. So would it be better to de-risk here and wait for confirmation and buy back in? I'm tired, brother. Yeah, so that's an answer. That's a question I can't answer for you, right? I even talked about that in the video, right? I can't. I don't ever do that. I don't ever tell you it's time to buy. I don't ever tell you it's time to sell. I don't ever tell you, hey, take 25% off the table here, or hey, double down right in here. The best thing I can do is just try to paint the picture as best as I possibly can. And, you have to kind of make that own decision for yourself, right? If it busts out from here, then that's historically good, right? And the problem is there's psychology of everybody, right? Oh, I can't miss any opportunities, right? Like, if a market does this and it's back at a retracement, right? It's sometimes best to just get out here, let it go here, and then say, okay, I'll get back in. And guess what? You missed that, right? Too bad, so sad you didn't get that part. But this is what you got, right? You got all of that, and you got all of that meat. You just didn't get that. And by doing that, that's the price that you had to pay in order to reduce your risk in the event that that was going to come, right? If there was a 50% chance that one of these events were going to happen, that it would go that way or that way, well, your cost to try to when the coin got flipped, to not have that happen to you, and then if it went that way, well, that was what your cost was, right? So it's totally a personal decision, and if you feel overexposed or anything like that, you got to make your own decisions, right? Like, this is high intensity level, super mega high intensity level. This is where people typically do take stuff off the table, but this is where people are watching very closely. That if something shows up right in here, they're typically going to be hitting it hard. And then, but if it's falling down, they've taken some risk off the table. It's totally something you have to decide for yourself, but I'm painting that picture of how big of a deal it is where you are at right now. You can't put that on me and tell you what to do, bro. You got to do what you want to do. Dunham, member for 22 months. Thanks for all you do. There's plenty of trade groups that will tell you what to do. Bulldog 589 gifted 5 memberships. Brother, thank you very much. Appreciate it, dude. Yeah, I almost said it. When we started the stream, we had 598 in the waiting room. Jerome Van de Viber, my brother, Bitcoin, BNB, and XRP all spent 6 to 12 months consolidating after reaching and rejecting their all-time high. Wouldn't it make sense to expect the same for this cycle? No. It's all one big giant trade, man. Where is it? Here? No, it's here. There you go. I mean, it's just, you're playing time guessing. Again, like I said, make me go live in the jungle naked with no clothes and no food and everything like that. If I can come back and tell you time predictions, I'll do it. But thank you, brother. Matt Smith, thank you for your insights, BCB. We appreciate the macro alpha. Blessings to you and your family. Thank you, Matt. You've been a supporter of the channel from very early in the days. I appreciate it, man. JJ Jacob, XRP, WXYXZ, which will break lows, then moon. Okay, very good. Chris, thank you, sir. Chris Cushman, BC, much love. Do you have a stop loss on your XRP below this current? Yeah, I will. If we go below 269, I'm going to pull some. Michael Fat Boy Slim. Hey, BCB, please tell me your thoughts, if possible, of an extended cycle so it isn't make or break now currently, just longer waiting time to blow off type. Like, the extended, listen, crypto cycles are so baloney, right? It's all this macro stuff, right? And it's whether this becomes some type of rotating top that happens in here where the S&P, the Dow, and the NASDAQ chill out. The Russell becomes the star of the show for a couple of months. Crypto ramps with the Russell 2000. And then it's likely all going to be over together. I don't play the games of extended cycles or the timing cycles or anything like that. I think it's just going to all depend on all this stuff, right? You can clearly see your Bitcoin stops here when the Russell 2000, Dow Jones, NASDAQ, everything stops in here, right? The altcoin market stops right here. It all goes into a bear market together. It's all this, right? So if somebody's selling you a pile of goods, telling you that it's some type of crypto Fourier cycles and that there's extended right theory things, whatever people call that. What do they call that? The right translated stuff, whatever it is. I don't know. Right. This is your stuff. Right. And so we look at macro a lot to see if this is giving us the very clear picture, because it is, because this is what's going to determine what ends up happening. Ben Heller, have your thoughts on gold changed at all? It seems like it doesn't want to stall or fall at this point. Yeah, it just keeps going, but where's gold? I had it. Oh, did we get off here? No, my thoughts on gold haven't changed. Obviously, it just keeps ripping. I mean, I'm glad I own it, but it's like, I don't believe in it. Not that I don't believe in gold. I don't trust the rally. I think it's going to stall, and probably quite violently when it does. I just think it's a big fat short squeeze to go grab it, and then it's going to pull back down. But I didn't get the second part of your question, Michael. I'm sorry. And you said, so it isn't make or break now currently. It's just a longer waiting time to blow off top. It would become unknown. If there becomes a big fat rejection on the Russell 2000 from right here, it would be unknown. I don't know if I'd have very strong conviction to be like, okay, everybody, the crypto market just crashed 50% during a move like that, but don't worry, we're all going to go ripping back up afterwards. I'd have to see the market at the time. New wave counseling, stay alive till we bust out. Haha. Thank you, brother. Pablo Ayala, how am I doing on time? I have 7 minutes. Pablo, okay. YouTube crashed. Sometimes we need the crash to happen on this end, so that way I can not be so lagged. Sorry, guys. So what happens on my end is that the entire browser crashes for YouTube. Okay, Pablo. Buenos dias, Senor BCB. Hi. Can you read us a page from your diary to comfort us during these tense times? Thanks, Senor BCB. P.S. No longer a lurker. Brother, thank you. Yeah, I don't have any entries in my emotional logs of like late 2020 when we're knocking on the all-time high. I don't have any entries in that when we're back in here on things like that. A lot of my entries are in moments like this. Right before capitulation, going into capitulation, surviving through those lows. Where are you? Right, going through these moments right in here, coming out of these moments, going through these moments in here. That's where I really got to truly document the experience of going through a lot of the bear. And so that's why I was able to share a lot of that with you guys as we went through this stuff right in here. Right, going through all of these things in here in the market and then getting out and what it would feel like when the weight of the world got lifted off your shoulders. And we were talking about that $30,000 price point for Bitcoin back in 2023 and 2024 of it being like in here. And it took us getting out of here. And like in my emotional log, you can see how doubtful I was of the rally. I didn't trust in the rally. I thought it was going to turn over and spill down to the downside in here. And now reflect back in 2024. 2025, right? So I'm talking about this right in here. Now go back in here, go reflect on how many major X accounts and YouTube accounts were all using this exact arrow right here and pointing down like that. 12K. going to 12K, right? Remember that? But sharing that of being like, the moment that we got out of that range, right? This type of range was the moment that all of my stress had faded. I believed in the rally. I trusted the rally. I thought we were going to get moving. And that level for us would be there at 32,000. And sure enough, it was. Right. The second we got out of that, that's where the euphoria hits in. We're talking about Bitcoin ETF, blah, 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 blah. The market goes wild. The market goes insane into March of 2024. The euphoria got absolutely crazy, which there's no euphoria right now. Right. But no, I don't have any entries from back in here. Chris says Dow Jones Industrial Average is all-time high, which is positive. Shouldn't RUT follow now too? That's been the whole thing. Welcome to the last multi-year discussion. Yeah, you would sure hope it would happen, but it hasn't. Dow broke into all-time high back here in early 2024. Here we are, a year and a half later. The Russell has not followed. Never happened before in crypto's history. You're in a different cycle. You're in a different environment. We've often talked about it, navigating uncharted waters. We've had to describe it as this time is different. And of course, this time is different is the most dangerous terms any retail investor can ever use, because they always say that when we're going up or when we're at the lows. Right? This time is different because FTX collapsed and we're never coming back. Or this time is different because Elon Musk and Tesla added Bitcoin to their balance sheet. It's never going to go back down. Right? There's always a this time is different based on a narrative. Right? So for a retail investor, that's the most dangerous thing. So when I say this time is different, it's just based on data. It's based on market behavior. That every cycle, historically in crypto, Russell, S&P, Dow, go together along with Bitcoin, along with the Russell 2000, along with the altcoin market. And this is now almost 2 years later, a year and a half later, to be fair, year and 7 months later, you don't have the Russell and the altcoins out yet. And that has never happened. Ever. So this time is certainly different. We're navigating uncharted waters. We're playing a different game. And trying to navigate it to the best guesses that we can. Get Triggered says, it kind of feels like we got too smart and they'll never let the plebs win. What do you think about that? God bless. Well, I think all the wrong footing when it comes to like all the people thinking it's going to do exactly what 2021 did or 2017 or 2013. I think all that's wrong footing we're way past that, right? That's when we were back in March of last year, March of 2024, a year and a half ago. I remember how angry the market was at any of the ideas of that we would stall and stop. Right, we were showing the retracement levels. We were showing that the breadth wasn't there. I was writing newsletters about it, making videos about it. I had people coming into markets in the morning, months later, saying that when we were in that, they had to stop watching my channel because we're talking about that. Because the rest of the content out there was saying we're going to moon, and you're just stupid if you don't think that. Because what are you talking about? We're acting like 2013, 2017, and 2021. But there was one vastly different dynamic happening, and that was that the breadth wasn't happening. While this was all up in here for the Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ, and Bitcoin was getting up in here, this Russell was nowhere to be found, which was very different from our past cycles. And so that was the thing I kept harping on and discussing on. There's something wrong here. There's something not right. It doesn't make any sense why this is happening. And that's just what and so I think we're just so past that. And not letting them win. I think the interesting thing will be just is the wrong footing that everybody's so scared here. I don't really know, but it feels like the market's trying to get everybody off sides in some way or another. But what the offsides isn't euphoria. Right? There's no euphoria happening here. We'll see. But Sam, what will signal that altcoin season will not happen now? And will you sell your altcoins, especially XRP? I'll take some profit. Like, it's not going to be anything where I'm like dumping 60. If we go down, it's not like I'm going to dump 65% of my bag, right? Like, but I'm going to take some. Just play some defense. There's got to be some, because the worst thing that could happen, like realistically, we go through multiple years of this SEC lawsuit thing. We get all the way up here, and the market falters. Can you imagine round tripping entire bag after going through 4 years of SEC lawsuit? You know, it's just gonna be is what it is. If I sell 25% on a breakdown, and you know, that's just gonna be what it is. You know, it's a difficult market. I hope that doesn't come, but if it does, it'll happen. Brandon Grinstead, member for 11 months. Do you take some comfort in the fact that sentiment at these crucial levels is super low and full of fear? Yeah, I mean, that. Like I said, that if you're gonna have a bullish fundamental backdrop, that's the most fascinating part of it. And it's not, and like, I do get, like, because I don't share all my data with you guys. Like, we're talking like website views, and we're talking all these other things, and all this other data, all this YouTube data, all this other stuff that I can see in there. And there is no question, no doubt, okay? None. Crypto sentiment amongst retail investors is hideously low. And that is vastly different from any type of rally up. So it's like a disbelief rally. It's like being at the top of the wall of worry. It's not everything, right? The technical levels obviously are the most important things of where we're at, right? But definitely something that's always very scary of the technical levels is like what we just talked about with Bitcoin and the breadth and this thing, right? When breadth wasn't there, boy, I'm gonna have to wrap this up, guys. We're already 3 minutes past. How this element wasn't there, right? But crowd sentiment was way off sides, right? Crowd sentiment was massively euphoric in here when there wasn't something happening here. Now the opposite's happening, right? We're up here, but crowd sentiment's not there, right? So it's definitely a fascinating dynamic. Hey, BCB. Spencer, what's up, brother? 11 months. Hey, BCB. I know it's not much difference, but Total 2ES hasn't hit all-time high yet. Any input? I don't know what to think of that because it's a new one that's been created out there, a new one that removes your stable coins. I just don't I just think the stable coins probably matter in crypto. And I think we're seeing that they matter because of our confluence of getting back to these levels at the exact same time with the Russell 2000. I don't think it really I think the only way that's going to truly matter for that particular chart, I don't even know if it will. If you're trying to pick out targets, I just don't think it's going to matter. But it's the same thing, right? We haven't busted out. Basim El Qadri, what is the institutional effect on the crypto market? I don't know. None. My bet is when we go into a bear market, though, it'll have dire, horrible effects. Right? Like we don't have to argue about, here we go, we're back to 2466. We're just going to tease it constantly, guys. We're just going to tease it constantly. But I do have to wrap this up. Right? Like we don't have to argue about anything. Right? If we can all just agree that this is clearly what's happening in the market, if we can all just say that, right? We don't have to like debate things. We don't have to say secrets upon secrets. We don't have to say institutions, ETFs, or any of that stuff ever really ever matters. It's just that we have to have very clear dynamics happening in markets. Dave's got, hey, BCB, if RTY doesn't break up, what can their next months look like if you had to guess? Would it mean stocks likely top around here too? You would think so. If there comes some clear defined rejection, you would think so. Which it's hard to argue that too, because like, all right, so like what are the stocks that I've like I don't talk about very many stocks that I've owned, but what are ones that I've talked about? All right. Way back in the day, GameStop. I don't own any GameStop, but Ford, GE, Roblox, right? So this will be the last thing we kind of touch on that I got to roll. GE's, first of all, Roblox and GE have been epic, right? Where's Roblox? There you go. Watch out for Roblox. Careful. Roblox, of course, made its way all the way back up to the all-time high, right? Watch out. Concerning. One, though, this has been amazing because I've been in this thing for so long, and I've left these little lines on there from when I bought it. GE. GE just busted into a new all-time high. So I don't think GE's done. Ford hasn't done anything yet, right? So I don't think we're there yet, right? But yes, you would think if everything goes goblin down, stocks will too. And this stocks, obviously, stock. So your question is kind of like if it tops, will stocks go down and crypto go down? Yeah, like if we're talking about if stocks go down. So if stocks go down, crypto will go down. Stocks likely would top, I would think. So anyway, I get it. It's a hard spot, man. It's rough, man. It's just, make a decision, go with it. And if we're looking for critical moments and critical times, oh, thank you. Okay. What we're really paying attention to by the time we get together next Wednesday, so this will be really good. So this will just be a markets in the morning thing. By the time we get together next Wednesday, it will be October 1st. Okay. At that point, we will have had daily candle closes, weekly candle closes, monthly candle closes, and quarterly candle closes for this thing. And you would think on October 1st, right, you've either had this thing fail to close the quarterly or to successfully close the quarterly. And October 1st will be a very interesting day. Okay. So, it kind of almost, I didn't even really think about that before I started the stream, how close we are to the quarterly ending, but I think that's probably what matters because we could celebrate a daily candle close higher, we could celebrate a weekly candle close higher, but then we also know that on Tuesday we're gonna get a monthly and a quarterly. So it's kind of like celebrating one at a time, but of course September 30th's candle close is going to be probably our biggest one, right? Bigger than any of them. So that's what we'll wait for. Jerome says, in the past months, we only got good news. There's even a Bitcoin Trump statue in DC. It doesn't seem like they tried to crush the sentiment. In hindsight, this could be very obvious. But see, you have to understand, I have measurements of sentiment, right? I have data on my end that shows me how retail is behaving. I know when retail is overexcited. Like I promise you, I know it. They're not. They're acting like a true bear. They're 100%. 100%. So, all right. Guys, we got to wrap it up. I got to get going. I went 10 minutes past. I appreciate you all so much for tuning in. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate all of your support, the super chats, the questions, everything, and tuning in every Wednesday. Let me hit you with the frog, and then we'll hit our way out of here.
It is Wednesday, my It is Wednesday.
All right, everybody. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. I'll have a video out here pretty soon. I'm not sure if it's going to be out in like 10 minutes or an hour. I don't know. It's already uploaded. I have to see what kind of hardships YouTube gives me when I try to release it. I don't usually try to get them out this fast, but we'll see what happens. You guys can check out the newsletter over here at blockchainbacker.substack.com. Of course, you can check out bcbacker.com with over 40 videos and 11 hours of content teaching you how to set up your own charts and indicators within trading via CoinTrader Pro. There are links in the description of this live stream to both of them. Otherwise, have a wonderful day. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like the live stream and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor, but if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.